Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, the Lakers win again. 3-game winning streak. And guess what? I'm not impressed. I see a lot of people out there making videos and they're so impressed by the Lakers and this 3-game winning streak, and Anthony Davis putting up all these numbers, and LeBron is a third wheel, and it looks like they can win a championship, and all these shenanigans. To me, it's shenanigans. I mean, I'm not impressed. We're only 3 games into the season. They played the first 3 games at home. The first game they played at home. The second game, they basically got 3 days off, right? They basically got 3 days off. I mean, you could say 2, but in reality, they don't play until 10:30 the next game. So to me, it's really 3 days off, whatever you want to call it. 2.5 days off. To be at home again, they had 2.5 days off. It's ridiculous. I've never seen nothing like. Why would you need 2 days off just to play another home game? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm not impressed by the teams they played. The teams that they played no defense. The Kings that they just beat play no defense. Where's the DeMar DeRozan? This so-called, the poor man's Michael Jordan, and this is what Michael Jordan would be in this era. DeMar DeRozan is trash. You got De'Aaron Fox on that team. You got Sabonis on that team. You got a lot of young talent. I'm not trying to say DeMar DeRozan is that young, but I guess he's around. No, he might be a little bit older, but still, you got a lot of young talent on that team, on the Kings team. So for them to let the Lakers run amok and score, 132 points, I think? 131 points. Let them score 131 points. It's just ridiculous in the sense that LeBron is coming off of in the Olympic Games. AD is coming out of the Olympic Games. You should be able to run them off the damn court. Well, DeMar DeRozan is 35. Yeah, he's 35. But still, they got some young talent on that team. And look, man, they're playing teams that don't even play any defense. If they even play any defense in this era, I'm just not impressed. In double digits, you had 2 guys. No, 3 guys on Sacramento score 20 points or more. The problem is with the Lakers, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double digits. Let me see. Yeah, they had 6 over there for the 6 players in double digits for the Kings. But the Kings shot 44 threes at 34%. The Lakers shot 34 at 41%. So that's just showing you that when you go back up here and you look at the Lakers, and you got Anthony Davis with 31 points and LeBron with 32 points, most of their shots, those 2 players, their shots came in the paint, dunks and layups, or just in the paint shots. More efficient. Way more efficient. Lakers shot 34 threes and shot 41%. Live by the 3, die by the 3. And another reason why I'm not impressed. I mean, look at the Lakers team. It's stacked. That team is stacked. This is a team that saw they were playing the Sacramento Queens, and once they found out that, guess what, Sabonis had to guard AD, nobody was going to be able to guard LeBron James in the paint or charge him to the paint. That's just how it is. So it's going to be a long night for those guys. And let me see. DeRozan shot 12 threes. That's, wow. I thought he was supposed to be this mid-range king. Fox shot 23s. I mean, really? These guys have no other game. They have no other game but to shoot threes. Let me make sure I seen that right. Oh, no. I did see that wrong. My fault. Fox shot 10 threes, and DeRozan shot 3. I was looking at field goals. Um, AD shot 2. LeBron did shoot 9 threes and made 4. It's like, whatever. I mean, at this point, you really can't criticize him because this is what this game is now. I mean, this is something you would be critical of back in the day, and nobody was critical about LeBron when it came to these things when he was back in Cleveland the first time, when he was shooting all these damn threes back then because he didn't develop a mid-range shot, and he didn't want to develop a paint game. So even back then, he shot more than what he was supposed to as far as threes, and he got away with it. But yeah, nine threes is just insane. Let me make sure I'm getting that right. Yeah, he had a little triple double. That's what I'm trying to say. There's nobody in the paint to stop him from getting. If you always got the ball in your hand, look at this. 10 assists. Who's really the point guard on this team? Who's really getting more than 8 assists on this team? And he's supposed to be a small forward, power forward, but he's the so-called point guard? That makes no sense. Just a lot of stat padding. It did call it for some fouls. Let me see here. This is what got me. Anthony Davis was a minus 22. Wow. And I think that's just because all these guys were in double figures. You had 6 guys on Lakers in double figures. So it really wasn't too much wrong Anthony Davis was doing because he only had 2 turnovers. He had 2 blocks, 3 steals, 2 assists, 9 rebounds. So he really didn't do nothing that bad. Yeah, I just don't see how you get that. The minus 22. It doesn't make any sense because he played the most minutes. It ain't like he was playing, the third least amount of minutes or whatever like that. I mean, I don't understand. Even Reeves had a minus 20. So yeah, let's see when their next game is. They're probably going to get like a week off. I mean, that's their schedule. In what happens usually, their schedule is like backloaded, and then they cry at the end, man, we got to play all these games, and because they take all this time out. Well, they played the Suns on Monday. Ooh, that should be impressive. The Suns, they just beat the Suns. Suns got to be the the laziest team ever. They play they basically play no defense. They don't play any defense. So I would compare this league to like I don't know, man. I would compare it to NFL flag football. Basically, the Pro Bowl is like what flag football now. I would compare this NBA to flag football. If you was watching, if they turn the NFL into flag football, that's all the NBA is. These guys play no defense. It's not a well-rounded skill game where you got guys playing from the paint, from the mid-range, from the 3, playing balls to the wall defense. Here's the biggest thing, and they show these little shorts on YouTube all the time, or on Facebook, or what's the other one, TikTok, whatever. How the referees, and we talked about this the other day, how the referees have a job to call fouls, traveling, carrying, palming, maybe a flagrant, technical, whatever the rules are. You have a job to enforce these rules as an official, and that's what you get paid for. And as you see these clips on social media, time in and time out, every day, or when you watch these games, on all these different players, it's just not LeBron James. It'll be on Westbrook. It'll be on Harden. It'll be on Anthony Edwards. It'll be on, let's say, Durant. All these players. Travel, carry, palming, crying, offensive fouls, consistently, this stuff happens all game, and the referees don't call it. So what is that? What is that telling me? That this is not a real sports league. Right? Why would it be a real sports league if they don't do the job? What it also leads me to believe is that the NBA is so horrible that if these guys actually did their job, it would be over. These guys wouldn't look like these great officials. I mean, not officials, great players that were told. Even though with the eye test, we see these guys aren't that good as players. So let me give you some of these names real quick. And I remember some of these officials back in the day. Richard Bavetta. You got Joey Crawford, Jess Kersey, Jake O'Donnell, Hugh Hollins, Danny Crawford, Ed T. Rush. Did I say this guy? Hugh Evans. These are just some of the notable names back in the day. You always knew these guys, right? These notable officials. Today, who are the officials that you know? I'm talking about these were, you guys can name some more, but back then in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, these were real officials. And forget about the traveling, the carry, and all that stuff. You could not go up and down protesting the officials back in the day. I've never seen LeBron do that in his first stint with Cleveland. I just never seen that. Not like he's been doing it in the 210s, the 220s, or the 2020s. And look, some things you you love that it's not. These people aren't in this era. You know what I'm saying? When they say, "Oh, Michael Jordan played in this era," Scottie Pippen, Larry Bird, Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone. You know, these 80s and 90s players. We're happy they don't play in this era. It would be no NBA. We're glad that the hip hop artists from the 80s and 90s, even early 2000s, aren't in this era. This is an embarrassment to music, what they got out today. It's an embarrassment. This ain't even real music. Sounds like some kids got in the studio and start playing around. You got rappers that sound like little children. And people say, "Oh man, they young, man. They 18, 20, 21, 22 years old." Well, so was the rappers when I was coming up. And they all sounded like men. They all dressed like men. And they all acted like men. And they rapped like men. And they didn't sound like little ass kids. And they didn't sound like a Dr. Seuss book. It was creative, complicated, articulate, intelligent battle rap. These dudes is just like cat, hat, rat, mat. It's like some Dr. Seuss stuff. It's not even real. You couldn't even compare this to when hip hop first came out. It was more complicated than what these dudes been doing like the past 10 years. It's a shame. And just music in general. I'm not gonna say just hip hop. I'm just saying you don't have any more blues, soul, R&B, rock, alternative rock, whatever you want to name. It all sucks. Why? Because they don't have any producers producing the music. And if they do have any producers, they're like not good. They're not going out there and getting the best producers, the best executive people to be on to do this music. You got to remember back in the day when you put out an album, no matter what kind of music genre it was, what kind of music it was a lot of people behind the scenes putting together that music. Today, it's nothing. It's nothing. You can tell the music is soulless. Really don't have no harmony to it, no real instruments, none of that. And the record companies are still making money. They're saying like, okay, we'll put this stuff out, see if these people are dumb enough to listen to it. Boom, they're dumb enough to listen to it because that's all they have. That's all they have. So the young people will listen to it because that's all they have, and they want to feel, young at the moment. This is our music, blah blah blah. Even though it's pure trash, but on the other hand, the record companies are still making a lot of money off of past music because a lot of people, especially older people, aren't vibing with the new stuff, right? And it has nothing to do with age because for the most part, my parents could listen to the new R&B, the new soul music, the new music was now hip hop. Now, my parents they really didn't like that music. They really didn't like my parents grew up on soul, R&B, blues, jazz, and stuff like that. So they really, especially my mother, she didn't really get into that. My father, he didn't like go no further than like I don't know, like Heavy D and the Boys, something like that. Cool Mo D, he liked that. What Big Daddy Kane. It had to be like real smooth. It couldn't be like, but back in those days, hip hop was different. Like in the '80s, because it wasn't until like what was it, '88, '89, until the NWA came out with gangster rap. So everything back then was just like it was. You had battle rap. That sucker MC type of stuff. And Kool Moe Dee and Big Daddy Kane was battling, and all these cats from New York. But it was the West Coast that brought that gangster rap battling to the scene. And the funny thing is, they start battling each other first. They broke up and start battling each other. It was ridiculous. So, yeah, the music today is trash. If anybody listens to it, I just don't see how you can listen to music with no harmony. Because if you even listen to music hip hop up to the 2000s, they were still putting crazy R&B beats into it, like crazy harmony, right? And that's what took hip hop off, really. To the next level. Who was it when like people like Dr. Dre, you could say, Timberland, Jermaine Dupri, who else? Puff Daddy, all these cats was putting mad R&B beats into hip hop, and it just took off. It just took off to a different level in the mid '90s. But yeah, this NBA goes along with this era. It's trash. No more good sitcoms. No more good movies. The music sucks. Pop culture sucks. Everything sucks. It's not evolving to get better. That's how everything used to be. And we keep trying to tell you it has nothing to do with, people getting older. You're supposed to get better as far as pop culture. You're supposed to, the 60s got better than the 50s, the 70s got better than the 60s, the 80s got better than the 70s, the 90s got better than the 80s. Now, I got to stop there. I want to take it to the next, some things. To me, I think 80s music still was the best of all time. As far as, it was so diverse. We found something in the 80s was just crazy in music. You know what I'm saying? At one time, you had all that going. You had hip hop, R&B, soul, blues, rock, alternative, all kind of different music. And then the 80s movies and stuff like that. So to me, I think 80s music probably was the best when we look at the whole scope of things. It was just too big. It was the expression in the 80s was just, it was nuts. And then you probably could look at sports too, and it kind of rivaled that too. When you look at baseball, football, basketball, it was pretty. The 80s was pretty untoppable. It was pretty untoppable. But what I'm trying to say is, like, pop culture still kept getting better as we got into the 90s. the 2000s, a lot of people was worried about, okay, where's pop culture going to go in the 2000s, because we thought we were really going into this futuristic type of era. When you was growing up in the 80s or before that, 80s or 90s, or you grew up before that, you always thought about futuristic. Oh man, by the time we get to 2020, we're going to be flying in cars and flying skateboards and all this stuff. So everybody, when the end of the 90s came, nobody really knew where the hell we were going to go, what was going to happen. Was it going to be the end of the world? Was it going to be living futuristic? Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. They started talking about 2YK, all this stuff. So the 2000s, it held its own, right? It was different from the 90s and the 80s, but it did hold their own until about, 210. And then as we start getting into, 210 on, everything started getting like real weird. Like they stopped putting the best of the best, into music, movies, sitcoms, pop culture, everything. It just started going. And I can see that when people start rapping, or music in general, when they stop using their original voice, when they stop taking harmony out of music. Harmony has to do with love, joy, and stuff like that. They don't have that in music no more. People is talking like robots. Um, you won't even think of like black music as number one music no more. It was always that for a long time. Hip hop, R&B, soul. Um, Even soft rock was good back then. Rock was good. Alternative music, just different music. It's bad now. It's just not music. It's everything. The pop culture is horrible. When I talk about pop culture, I'm talking about like what's going on at the time. Pop culture. We always had the next. You know what I'm saying? It was the next Aerosmith. It was the next Bon Jovi. It was the next Whitney Houston. It was the next Mariah Carey. It was you guys don't understand. I'm trying to tell you, when the 210s hit, it was no more of that. And I just think the LeBron era, his prime just coincides with like the 210s, the 2020s. It's really bad. I mean, now you do have a phone. I guess that's your futuristic stuff, right? Some touch screens. That ain't too futuristic to me. I mean, we should have way more futuristic stuff than all the movies we used to watch back in the day. At least everything was going to be futuristic. Ugh, it's not even close. Not even close. But the Mayans did say when 2012 came, the world would start going backwards. That's what they said. A lot of people said it was going to be the end of the world, but they said something about the world was going to start going backwards or something like that. I'm not for sure, but it's gotten really bad. It's gotten really bad. I mean, this is what I can say though. It's easier to get money now. Things are more expensive, and I think that's a big reason. It's easier to get money. There's all these different avenues and to get money on social media. Just different ways to get money. It's easier. It wasn't easy like that back then. That's why you got all these people piling into the United States, because it's so easy to get money. Back then, it wasn't like that. These people couldn't pile into the United States and be taking jobs like this, especially in small towns. They couldn't just pile into your city. Yeah, they might do it in the big cities, like in California. Look, I grew up in Chicago, and none of that stuff was happening. Not all my life, but none of that stuff was happening. All these immigrants coming in here and just working the next day, getting all these jobs by the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if you count the whole United States. It wasn't like that, man. It was not like that. It was not like, especially in the small towns. In the small towns, you didn't have nobody in the small town. Only people in the small town was black people and white people. That's it. That's it. And like I said, even in the big cities, a lot of these people that came to the big cities, they was working like bad jobs, and they weren't getting paid nothing. There wasn't no way they could get a license without being a citizen or anything like that. So it's just so easy to get money now. The living is easier. I can tell you that, because I know when I grew up back in the 80s and 90s, you couldn't even go down certain streets, go to certain parts of town. You might not even come back alive. It was that hard. Yeah. Now you can do what you want. So some things are good, I think, but because it's so easy to get money, it's easier to live, period, that it makes everything kind of like worse in pop culture. Oh, there's another thing. It's a lot of snitching too. Everybody on social media is a snitch now. I ain't trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to talk about like your everyday people. I'm talking about like um, your celebrities. They're all snitches now. Look at P Diddy's bodyguard. This dude is the biggest snitch in the world. Like, dude, you was there at all them parties. You seen all this. And you telling everything he did. You telling me you wasn't involved in anything? Come on, man. This dude, come on. You can't believe nothing these people say, man. And what's so crazy about it? What this dude goes to court and he gets off on some technicality. People don't waste all their energy on this nonsense. All this nonsense. I mean, is the dude gay or is he straight? What is he? A lot of people wasting, a lot of energy on this nonsense that don't really mean nothing. And that's what they give most black people. When you look at it through the years, they give them a whole bunch of nonsense to focus on instead of them focus on what's real, their own lives, and what's going on in this world. And like this Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Look who we got, man. No, it ain't who we got. It's who y'all got. Y'all vote for this nonsense. We already told you your vote don't count. If you go read the Constitution, you're voting for delegates. You're not voting to elect a president. People don't vote for the electoral college, right? You vote for the popular vote, which don't elect the president into office, right? The delegates of each state, they vote the president in, right? This is what people don't understand. So I don't get this. This is what you got. You got a dude got charged with all these felonies. You got a woman who says she black, but if you go watch the Candace Owens podcast, they done did her genealogy. She ain't black. That black grandmother she got in her book, that ain't her grandmother. She was help around the house. So this lady's lying about her genealogy. Come to find out what is she? She's Hindu and Irish. So she ain't even because her father is Hindu and Irish. That's what they found out. So this whole thing's just a mess. And then somebody got to tell me how this is a real woman. How does she got the head bigger than a man, and that's a woman? That's not a transgender? Huh? I don't know. I just don't know. No wonder she don't have any children. I'm just trying to tell you, if you look at a woman's head, where her eyebrows is, that's where the whole head should stop. It shouldn't keep going and going and going. That's bigger than most men's head that I've seen. Women don't have heads as big as men. Don't have shoulders as wide as men. I don't care what you're looking at, makeup and long hair. It doesn't happen that way. Go look at your mama. Go look at your sister. Don't tell me it's TV. You guys are being fooled. Women's shoulders never go past their hips. It never happens. Don't matter if they got big hips, no big hips, whatever they got. Women's shoulders never go past their hips. Only male have shoulders that go past their hips. That's the way men are built, and that's the way women are built. So if you see that, something ain't right with that woman on TV. I ain't talking just her. I'm talking about all these women. And it's just funny. When you look at ESPN, during these whole, the gay marriage and the gay rights, they put out all these videos, all these documentaries on homosexuality and transgenders and everything, how they should have rights and how they should be able to blah, 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 blah. Remember this? Back when Obama was president and all this stuff? I was shocked. I couldn't even believe it. And we act like we forget that ESPN was out there doing that work and was people in position pushing this transgender and gay thing. Huh? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. They was pushing that with the Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. It's ridiculous, man. So yeah, the Kings crowned LeBron king, and you can't even make this stuff up, man. This stuff might be rigged. These guys don't even come to play. You're a younger team, and look, it's when it's a 3-point contest. I guess it's hard to play a real game because all you're shooting is threes and hoping these threes go down. You're not really playing any defense. You're just hoping that the other team don't hit a whole bunch of threes and you hit a whole bunch of threes. Vice versa. It's just ridiculous. That's why a lot of people, even the young people, they don't watch this crap. They wake up and they look at stats. because when you look at it, it's it's boring. It's not competitive. There's no rivalries. There's no people. There's no players playing positional basketball. You might get a couple players that's like real good, so they can just dominate everybody because they are playing some type of positional basketball. You got Wembenyama. I think he scored about what did he score 31 last night, something like that. But if I'm not wrong, he had like 7 rebounds. This really ain't domination to me, man. You're 7'5", and all you can get is 7 rebounds. You would think at 7'5", um, this guy will be able to get about 20 rebounds a game, no problem, in being that young. I just don't understand, man. Let me let me look at this real quick. So the Spurs barely beat the damn Rockets. Wembenyama had 29. There's no reason why this guy shouldn't be getting 35 a game. Um, 10 for 17 from the field, 2 for 5. Um, 3 blocks, 7 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound. I mean, how do you get 1 offensive rebound? I don't understand that. And that just goes to show that this guy is sitting on the perimeter a lot. Who, truthfully, who can box a 7'5" guy out that's, what's he like, 21 years old or something? Who can box him out? It's ridiculous. You could just like stand over these fools and get on the offensive side. You'd be able to get at least 5 offensive rebounds a game. On the defensive side, you should at least get 10 rebounds a game. So what it tells me is Pop is just letting this guy run around and, hey man, whatever game you want to play, because this is basically this new NBA. Whatever game these guys want to play, right? There's no, I'm running to Princeton, I'm running the triangle, team to team. These guys just sit on the 3-point line and just hot potato the ball around and shoot threes, or do a pick or something like that, or drive in, hoping the 3-point defender will come off of his guy so he can dish it back out to one of the open 3-point guys. It's just a ridiculous game, man. And it's a game to where they don't have to really compete at the highest level, because to me, I don't think they're getting paid these contracts that we're told. So to me, I think what the NBA did, they changed the game and they told these guys, look, we can't really pay you this amount of money no more because we don't have the viewership. Because in the 2020s, they got the lowest viewership of all time in the regular season, playoffs, and the finals, even holiday games. So we'll change the game and you guys could just play, this weak style of basketball because we're not making this money. But we'll tell the dumb fans that we're really giving you record-breaking contracts for playing half the game, or have half the skill level that these guys had in the 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. 50s. It's just ridiculous, man. I don't believe none of this stuff. You can believe, and then you want me to believe these guys are getting paid all this money, and these aren't real officials? They're not calling carry, travel, technical, palming. They're not calling none of this stuff? Huh? So if this is believable, that these guys are getting paid all this money and the referees aren't doing what they're getting paid for, then the fans are getting screwed out. They're getting bent over. They're getting bent the hell over and getting screwed big time. That's all I'm gonna say about this. If you're paying your money to go watch this game, and you're paying all this money, they're screwing you because you're not watching a real NBA league, and they're getting paid all this money for not being real basketball players, right? So if you're not officiating and calling the rules, then these aren't real NBA players. Because if you did call traveling, palming, carrying, and all this stuff, it was showed that these guys aren't as good as they are, right? Which means you'd be like, how the hell are these guys getting paid 50, 40, 30, $20 million a year, and they don't even know how to play basketball at a professional level? Tell me what you think.